Challenger Summer Blast Pack, Exciting Engineering. I'm Commander Jennifer, and I'm so glad to have you join us here today. So in this second box that we have available, Exciting Engineering, we have a few different activities that you are going to be doing. So first of all, before we get started with the activities, what is an engineer? Well, the simple definition of an engineer is someone that likes to design and build things. Well, that's pretty simple, but they don't usually just design and build things just for the heck of it. They usually design and build things that help make our lives better. And there are hundreds of different types of engineers out there. There are chemical engineers and mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, biomedical engineers, aerospace engineers, materials engineers, and many, many, many more types of engineers. So, well, how do you know if you think you'd be a good engineer? Well, if you are someone that likes to design things and build them to help make things better, then you would probably make a pretty good engineer. So the great thing about being an engineer is you get to use all of your creativity and imagination. And just like with doing a science experiment, things don't always go your way. So you may plan, you may design and think you have the best design. Sometimes when you test it out, things just don't go your way, and that's okay. That's all part of the engineering design process. That's the process that engineers use to help organize their project. So the engineering design process starts with defining a problem. What are you designing something or building something to do? Next, you have to brainstorm and do some research about what you're wanting to do. Then you're going to plan. Come up with blueprints or design ideas. What is it going to look like? What materials are you going to need to build or design whatever you're trying to engineer? Then comes the fun part, test. So after you've done all that planning and you start building, then you have to run tests. So NASA doesn't just build something and send it off and hope everything goes okay. NASA does extensive tests with everything that they design and build. And sometimes those tests don't go the way that they want them to. And so they do the next step, which is improve. So they take everything they've learned from their initial tests and design, and they come up with solutions to the problems that they had and redesign and retest and make it even better. So, engineers, what are you going to be doing in your blast packs today? Well, you have 4 different activities that you're going to complete in your blast packs. So let's look at some of those. All right, so once you get your blast pack and you open it up, you're going to have just about everything that you're going to need in order to do your activities. One of the main things that you're going to find inside here are your instructions. These are very important because these are going to give you detailed instructions on how you need to build whatever it is you're trying to build. And the other thing that you'll have, just like any good scientist or engineer, you have to keep a very good record of what happened during your testing. So you're going to have a data log for each of these 4 activities. So the first activity that you're going to see in your box and in your instructions is you're going to be building a balloon car like this one. Very simple balloon car. And the fun thing about this balloon car is it's going to be using one of Newton's 3 laws of motion in order to make it move. Do you know what those 3 laws of motion are? Well, the first one is an object in motion tends to stay in motion, and an object at rest tends to stay at rest. The second one is force equals mass times acceleration. And the one that you're going to be using for this activity in particular is Newton's 3rd law of motion. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. So how do you think you're going to see that law in action? Well, when you blow up your balloon, it's going to be full of air. And at first, it's going to be sitting at rest, just like Newton's first law. You're going to have to put a force on it in order to make it move. The force you're going to be putting on it is when you let go of the end of the straw, it's going to allow the air to come out the end of the straw, and that equal and opposite reaction, like in Newton's third law of motion, is it's going to push your car forward, hopefully, if everything goes okay. So this is pretty much what your car is going to look like. Of course, yours may look a little bit different than mine does. But here's your balloon car. That's your first activity. Your second activity in there, you are going to be designing your own catapult. So a catapult is a device used to launch something that's usually heavy or bigger to another location more efficiently, a little easier. So we're going to be using something called a lever. A lever is a simple machine, which is this right here. This will be our lever. And your lever is resting on this piece right here, which is our fulcrum. That's what's supporting our lever. And again, we're going to be using Newton's third law of motion again, because when you pull down on this spoon, you've got potential energy, and when you let go, it'll put a force and make whatever that object is in here fly. So here's your catapult. Your third activity is your launch abort system. And what I want you to do is I want you to make sure that you watch video number 18 on here, balance and ballasts. It's going to explain a little bit more about what a launch abort system is. But your goal is to get this launch abort system to balance on your finger. Do you think you can do it? And then probably what's going to take you the longest is your last activity, which is making this robotic hand, this robot hand. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to go through these steps and kind of explain to you how you're going to build this. All right? So let's get started. So let's get ready to build this robotic hand. So I'm going to put this over here out of our way. So what you're going to need out of your blast pack for this robotic hand is you're going to need one of the pieces of cardboard. You will need your straws, the black straws. You're going to need this piece of string. You'll need tape. You will need scissors. And you have some optional things there, like a hot glue gun and 5 different colored markers. All right, so I think we've got everything out of here. I've just got my Scotch tape, but we gave you some tape too that you can use. Or if you had a different type of tape at home that you wanted to use, that should be okay too. Now, you're also going to need a pencil, because the first thing you're going to want to do here on your piece of cardboard is you're going to want to put your hand down on here with your fingers spread apart a little, not too far, not too close. So you just want to spread them out just a little, and then you're going to trace your hand. All right. Trace your hand. And I'm just going to make a couple lines like that. So I'm going to make mine come off the paper. Just like that. Then you need to cut your hand out. Alright, so here I've got my hand cut out. Notice I didn't get it all beautiful and rounded off. I've got it just kind of square here. So the next thing you're going to need to do is you're going to put your hand back on top of here. And then everywhere you have a joint. So here, here, here. And then your 2 on your thumb. Just take your pencil and put a mark right where each of those joints are on your finger. Because we want our robot hand to be able to move where those joints are. All right. Okay. So now that you've got those marked, this cardboard is pretty easy to bend. So all you're going to do is you're going to bend it right at that line. So where you put that line for your joint, you're just going to bend it. So you'll have 3 bends for each of your fingers and 2 for your thumb. So now I've got all those bends. So it's moving now. Now we're gonna flatten it back out. And now what I did, and you may find an easier way to do this, I took one of my straws and I laid it down. I just picked this finger first. And I took my pencil, and above that first bend, so you don't want to make this the same length as this first joint. You want it to be a little bit shorter because you don't want your straw to get caught when you're trying to bend that first joint. So you want to make this a little bit shorter, but I just took my pencil or a marker or whatever you have, and I made a mark on the straw where I wanted that straw for that first joint. So it's going to be from here to here. Okay, and then you just use your scissors and cut your straw. All right, and then you'll do the same thing for the next joint. Again, you don't want to get your straw up in that joint. You want it to be a little lower and a little higher than this one. And again, make your mark just like that. And then you're going to cut. And I'm just laying mine out so I'll remember which order they go in. And then I'm going to do another one here. Right there at that joint. So I'm going to make it a little lower than this one, but a little bit higher than this one. Just like that. Find my mark and cut. Now I also want to have a piece here for the palm. All right, so I'm putting it below that joint to just right here around the edge of the end of where my thumb would be, which would be about right there. Make a mark and cut. All right, so for each of your fingers, you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of straw. For your thumb, you'll have 1, 2, 3. And then at the bottom of your hand, you'll just have a piece that's extending down below your hand so that all those strings will feed down into it. All right, we don't want to attach these yet. We need to add our string to it. So once you have your string cut into your 5 parts, which I haven't done that part yet, but you will hopefully. So I'm just going to cut mine here. So you may want to have this out in 5 equal parts for your 5 strings. What you're going to do is you need to attach your string to that top joint straw. So the way I did it was I just fed this through so that it came out, wrapped it around just like that, and put a knot right here so that it would stay. So I have that knotted right there. And then I took my string and I fed it back down through my piece of straw. And once you have that done, you can go ahead and feed your other pieces on here. Here we go. And then just pull those other ones out of your way for a minute. Take your tape, or this is where your optional hot glue gun would come in. I would probably tape it down first, and then if you wanted it to be a little bit more sturdy, I would probably do the glue gun after that. After you make sure you have each piece how it needs to be and that all your fingers are functioning just like you want them to, I'd probably go in later and do the hot glue gun if I wanted to hot glue it. I would probably tape it first, that way it'd be a little more temporary, and then you can go back and add your hot glue if you want. Now I'm gonna get a little bit bigger piece of tape there. That's too low. Now again, you wanna put your straw on here so that is above that joint. Make sure you've got your string going down in the direction you want. So you don't want to get this piece of straw in your joint. All right, you want to make sure it's above it. And you don't want to tape down your string down here at the bottom. So when you put your tape on here, you need to make sure that you don't have the string in your tape. And all you're going to do is basically you're going to tape down that piece of straw. And I'd probably test it, make sure you can wrap that around, make it a little more secure. I'd probably test it to make sure, oh yeah, that's gonna bend, that's not in the way. All right, then you'll do the same thing for your next piece. The same thing for your next piece. And the same thing for this one right here. Okay, so you'll tape down each of those pieces. And then once you have all of those done, then I would take my other piece of straw like this, feed all of my strings down through it just like this, so they're coming out the other end, and then tape that piece of straw down. So when you get it all finished, it's gonna look something like this right here. Now, one thing that you could do if you want to make it easier to see which string down here goes with which of these fingers, is you could take a marker and color on that string somewhere to designate which finger that goes with. All right, so you'll take one string at a time, pull it down, oh, not that string, and see which one it works. So you can figure out which string is that. Oh, there it is right there. So I'm going to take this one and put some purple on it too, so that I know this is for the pinky finger. And you can put that anywhere on your string that you want. So when you're finished with this, hopefully you'll have a functioning, moving hand just like this. So when you get all 4 of your activities finished, or when you get each one of them finished, you're going to notice on your data log, one of the questions you're going to have is, what modifications could I make to what I've built to make it function better? So the directions that I gave you, maybe there's something that you could have done differently to make this function better. What modifications would you do? And if you have the opportunity at home, make those modifications, change something about it, and see if you can get it to function even better than what I gave you. Because that's part of the fun of being an engineer. You redesign, rethink, try to come up with your own ideas to make things even better. So join us for our Zoom call tomorrow. So I'll be looking forward to seeing what all of you did with these activities and what kind of modifications and ideas you came up with. So for now, this is Commander Jennifer, over and out.